Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. It is time for my latest video for Imagine. I am doing a coffee themed card today and I'm pretty excited about it. I like doing coffee themed cards. But before we get going, I'd like to apologize in advance in case you can hear my fan blowing. It is really hot and my AC is super loud and can be heard in videos, so I have my fan on as low as possible just so that I don't sweat all over my project. So I apologize if you can hear it. I have it as low as possible, but it's really hot, you guys. So why am I going to make a coffee card in the heat? I don't know. Some people drink coffee no matter how hot they are. My husband's one of them. But anyway, I digress. So I have a bunch of things here. We have the Warm and Wonderful stamp and die set from the Greetery. I love this set. It is beautiful. This is the chart that comes with it to show you how to stamp things. And you can just see from this one photo here, this one picture, how awesome these stamps and dies are. So we're going to be playing with that. And I've got a bunch of Memento inks here. I've got a VersaMagic. I've got Java Walnut Ink. If you don't have Java, you can use a different color, but we're going to be doing a fun thing to start off with this. Okay, so I'm going to move these items off to the side for now because we're going to use our Java, like I said, and we need that to be done first because we need it to dry. So I have here a piece of smooth Bristol cardstock and one of my favorite mugs. This is the mug that I use whenever I make a cappuccino, if I make a chai latte. Do you guys have like specific mugs for specific things? I do. This is my official cappuccino mug. Anyway, so we're going to do something kind of fun. And I'm going to take this Java and I'm going to spray it on my mat here. This is probably more than I need, but that's okay. And now we are going to take the mug and we're going to roll the edge in that Java. And then we're going to use it as a stamp. I'm just checking to make sure that there's a good amount of ink on there. We're going to use it as a stamp. You can even kind of turn it a little bit. Check that out. So it looks like we have coffee rings. And I don't really want it to be perfect. I don't mind if we have like little blobs, areas that are not fully inked. It's all good. This is just kind of a fun way to use household materials. How cool is that? I'm going to do a little bit up here in the corner. I think a little bit over here. I like it. There we go. And now we have our coffee ring background. So this is going to need to dry for a while. You can see how shiny it is. So we're going to set this off to the side and I'm going to clean up this hot mess that I have. Maybe with another piece of paper. I don't know. We'll be back. So with the extra ink, I made another background using my mug, which I think looks awesome on craft cardstock. How cool is that? And then I picked up most of the rest with another piece of craft cardstock just by dipping it into the puddle that I had. And I think that that's really cool too. And who knows, maybe I'll use this in another video. We'll see. So yeah, I cleaned all of that up. And just in case you were wondering, my mug is perfectly clear now. I just put some water on it, grabbed a paper towel, wiped it up, and it's good to go. Okay, so now we are going to start with the stamp set. I need more paper, which I have here. I've got some smooth Bristol cardstock. I've got my inks right here, and I'm going to grab my Misty. So we're going to start with the mug. We're going to also use the whipped cream. And is this going to close? Yes. Okay, good. So I've got my mug. We're going to start with the glass itself. I love this stamp set. It is so fun. It's really festive. If you want it to be. It doesn't have to be festive. But I really like using it. Okay. What's happening here? It is not going to close. All right. Fine. I'm going to cut this down. Okay, now that's cut down. Got the stamp in place. Going to pick this up. Put that over here. And I'm going to use Summer Sky. I had thought about using a gray, like London Fog, but I kind of want to use the Summer Sky. I think it's going to really make it look like glass. The gray would work also, though, if you wanted. But I don't know. I wanted to go with something blue. Grab my little stamp tool here. We'll probably need to stamp this more than once. Stamp again. Perfect. That's good. This will smooth out a bit as it dries also. So next we are going to add the solid layer of the beverage. You can do different beverages, but we're going for coffee today. Some people have done cider. You can do whatever you want, but okay. So now we have to line this up. I think that looks pretty good. Try not to move this too much. I have a crooked cut here. I'm going to zoom in a bit for you. There we go. Okay. So now I want to use desert sand. We're going to use the VersaMagic for the whipped cream. This will definitely have to stamp a couple of times because it's a solid stamp. It's going to look super splotchy at first. That's okay. And I think one more time will do it. I actually don't mind this bit of texture that it has happening right now. All right, cool. Close this. And then we're going to do the next layer with the rich cocoa. And that's going to be the layer that has a bit of a split to it. So we're going to wind up hiding most of this desert sand. As you can see how solid that is. It's just got that one strip and a little bit showing. Make sure you line this up as good as you can. It's a little easier if I can get my head right on top of it, but since my camera is right there, because my camera is actually below my face, can't really squeeze my head in unless I sit. Okay, so here's the rich cocoa. Layering stamps are fun because you really get to play with different color combos to see how you can get the effect that you want. I mean, you could make this a purple beverage if you wanted to, you know, just play around with different colors. Make it like a unicorn drink of some kind, I don't know. Okay, next we have the third layer. Oops, I'm putting that into my thing backwards here. I know I'm off screen, I apologize, but I'd rather you see this closer up than my stamps. Okay, so if you notice here, you've got this little notch, these like indents, right? So you're going to try to line them up with these. The key word is try. If you can't do it, don't worry. It's still going to be a really cool looking card when we're done. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now we are going to use Espresso Truffle. Hey, I lined that up pretty good. Look at that. Not bad. Check that out. Really gives it some cool dimension and depth. Okay. Now we are going to do the whipped cream. So for that, I've got this solid stamp here. We're not going to attach it because I've got the die set, so I'll wind up just attaching them when they're physically cut. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room up here in case I decide to use any of the foliage. Haven't decided yet. I don't know if we're going to go with like more of a holiday looking card yet or not, We'll see what happens when we get there. So now I have wheat VersaMagic. I know it's a little tricky to read that label. We're going to stamp this really good. This has more of a chalky finish, and I thought it would look really good as the whipped cream. Look at that. That is very cool. I like that. All right, we have another layer that we're going to do though. Let me grab that. Again, you want to be careful with how you line this up. It's a little tricky to do at first. I think that's okay. I'm going to work on lining this up. Okay, I think we're good now. I grabbed Sahara sand, which is also from the VersaMagic collection, so it's going to have that same kind of chalky finish. Hey, that's not bad. Pretty good, pretty good. I had to really get down like under my camera to line that up. Cute. Okay, there's one more layer to this that we're going to add, and then I'm going to die cut these pieces and see how it looks on our card background, and then we can decide if we're going to make it holiday or not. Or oh, you know what else? I need the straw. I need the straw. This here that I'm adding is like a little bit of a sprinkle. Could be like chocolate shavings or something. You don't have to be as careful about lining that up. I'm going to use the Espresso Truffle for that. I was trying to decide if I wanted to use the rich cocoa, but we're going to go with the truffle. How cute is that? Don't even need another layer of that. I think that's adorable. Okay, so I am going to grab the dies. I'm going to cut these out. I'm also going to cut out the straw, and we'll stamp it after. It's a little easier to stamp the straw after it's been cut. So I've got my pieces die cut. I've got my background here. I grabbed Rhubarb Stalk Memento Ink. Here's my straw, and we are going to use the rhubarb stalk to put the stripes on the straw. Now this is also the cinnamon stick that comes with the set if you want it to be, but I want to use a straw. And like I said, it's a little easier to die cut this first instead of stamping it first, because it's pretty small. There we go. We got our perfect little straw there. So cute. And this bottom piece will just get tucked in to behind the whipped cream. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we're going to go like this and this with the straw. Seriously, how cute is that? But I also think that we need some kind of ground and a sentiment. Okay, so I am going to start with the sentiment. I have this set from what was formerly known as Rubbernecker Stamps. They are now rebranded to Brass and Bliss. If this set is still available, I will link it below in the description box. The sentiments that come in this set don't quite fit where I want them, so that's why I went to this. So we're going to do the coffee is a hug in a mug. And I would like to put it here. I think that's just a really good spot to place it. I think that's really cute there. So I'm going to glue these. I'm going to stamp this sentiment, and then we'll move on. I'm going to use rich cocoa for the sentiment, so I'm going to grab my Misty tool again, stamp it, and then we'll move on from there. This is all glued. My sentiment is stamped, but I feel like I need something else in the background. There's a lot of white space, and I could have used a smaller like jar. Like this is just a baby food jar that I use for water when I'm watercoloring or whatever, and I could have used this to go all over and it would have tightened up that space, but I really wanted to keep it kind of authentic and use an actual mug. So just something to keep in mind all of this white space is a little too much, so I have Desert Sand Fireworks Spray. You can see the mica, the shimmery goodness is at the bottom here, so we need to shake this up really well. It usually happens really quickly. See, that's all shook up. And now I'm going to just splatter some of this around. I could have used rich cocoa, but I just didn't really want to do that. I thought it was going to be too dark, and I didn't want it to get on top of the sentiment and then kind of hide some of it, because it would have then been the same color. So keeping it light allows us to splatter a little bit more and not worry about it. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so now we need to clean up the mess here. Let this dry, and then we can start. Oh no, before that, I've got some craft stock, craft cardstock, and I'm going to use this on the bottom again to kind of create a ground so that the mug isn't just floating in space. So it's a little bit bigger than this panel, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear it. I'm going to hold onto the piece I want to keep in my left hand, and the piece I want to remove I'm going to tear up towards me so that I get this nice rough edge. Just like that. And if you don't want it that rough, like this jagged, you don't have to do it that much. I happen to like it like that. Let's see if this is too much. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit. I don't know. I actually don't mind it too much. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to dry this up. The panel's dry, and I'm going to apply some glue to the back of this piece of craft cardstock. Make sure that I like where my mug lands. I think that's pretty good. I don't want to hide too much of our background. And now we just have to trim this excess off. Okay. Usually I add ink to this edge to kind of highlight it, but I don't really want to do that. I don't want to make this too grungy of a card. Although I feel like it needs something. Let's think about that. I grabbed the Messy Harlequin stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, and I think that this is going to be just what it needs. Just a little bit of a pattern, but we're going to keep it soft. So I'm going to tape this down carefully, and I'm going to try my best not to go above this craft cardstock line. I don't really want to mask it off because it's a torn edge, but we'll just kind of very gingerly put this here and hope for the best. So I'm going to use desert sand, and I want this to be really light. I don't want it to be overpowering. And I don't need the depth of color to be the same throughout. It doesn't need to be all the same darkness or lightness. Oh, see? That's perfect. Just a little bit more over here. See? Just a touch. That's all it needed. Perfect. Oh, that's cute. Okay, so we're going to glue this down, and then we're going to determine if we want to put anything onto our card base itself. I typically add color to my card base. I do that with things like direct ink to paper. Sometimes I'll use a brush. Sometimes I'll use fireworks spray. All sorts of different things, just to add a little bit more color and interest instead of having a white card base, which I do sometimes, but more often than not, I do not. Okay, I have a card base here. Yeah, I don't want to leave it white. I think we're going to go with the desert sand. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna let this dry with this block on it, since I've already got a brush out. The reason I'm using a brush instead of an ink dauber is because I want it really soft, and the ink dauber would potentially create circles and all of that if I'm not doing a super good job blending. It's great for like pouncing color, but I really just want soft color right now. I've got some glue on my panel. I've got this all inked up, and now we are just going to apply this like so. And this, friends, is the finished card. Need to let that dry for a minute, but how cute is that? I'm glad that we didn't make it holiday. I think that a coffee themed card is good all year. Nothing wrong with holiday themed coffee cards. I make them, but this time I like how this came out. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you learned a couple of things, and I will see you again very soon. Be well, stay safe, peace out.